On the heels of a U.S. announcement to keep 8,400 U.S. troops in Afghanistan, NATO leaders will meet in Warsaw Friday and Saturday to discuss three key security topics. That is, continuing support for Afghan forces, defeating Islamic State militants on NATO's southern flank, and deterring Russian aggression on the alliance's eastern flank. Now, VOA Pentagon correspondent Carla Babb has more.
From Afghanistan to Ukraine to Islamic State, there's no shortage of global security threats to discuss at this year's NATO summit.
Well, let's be blunt. Alliances don't have a choice. They have to walk and chew gum. You don't prioritize key threats. You have to deal with all of them.
With U.S. troop numbers no longer an uncertainty, analysts say NATO leaders need a strategy to help Afghans solve a myriad of problems, including a struggling economy, a failure to restart peace talks with the Taliban, and a rise in Afghan casualties following a fierce fighting season.
It's not something where we are clearly losing, but whatever is happening there, we clearly are not yet winning.
To the south, NATO is not fighting the Islamic State as a bloc, with members choosing instead to send their troops unilaterally into the U.S.-led coalition. After the Paris terrorist attack last year, some called for NATO to invoke its Article 5 collective defense authorities against the extremist group. But some analysts warn against more NATO involvement.
I think NATO will not become officially involved in Syria and Iraq in a big way because we need Russian cooperation in Syria especially, and you're not going to get Russian cooperation if NATO is there.
Russia poses yet another potential threat to the alliance. Russia has illegally annexed neighboring Ukraine's Crimea Peninsula and has continued to support separatists in Ukraine's east.
On the deck, below the bridge wing.
Russian pilots have also flown dangerously close to American warships, conducting training operations with NATO allies in the Baltic Sea. NATO leaders at the summit will need to both reassure NATO's eastern allies
below the bridge wing
and be ready to deter further Russian aggression.
I think one of the greatest keys to deterrence, what would really deter those who would seek to bring pressure on our alliance, is that our entire alliance, the force structure that we already have, becomes more ready and more responsive.
To help with this effort, the U.S., UK, Germany, and Canada are each planning to lead a NATO rotational battalion to be based on the alliance's eastern flank. A U.S. official tells VOA President Barack Obama will announce that the U.S. will lead a battalion in Poland, with the others leading battalions in Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. Carla Babb, VOA News, The Pentagon.